66th episode of the Meeples Society, a podcast about board games hosted by two longtime role players turned avid board gamers. My name is Katy.
I'm Greg.
On this episode, we tell you all about our Geekway weekend, then explore some of the games that came out the year we started down this crazy path that is the board game hobby. We touch on yet another crowdfunding campaign that I just couldn't say no to. We continue with the recap of our collection videos, episodes 34 and 35, the ins, the outs, and the biggest surprises of each. And finally, in the absence of a game to deep dive this week, we instead are going to just dip our toes into some of the games we've gotten to the table recently. But first, we have a small reminder about our upcoming weekend events.
The 24-hour board game and video game.
Oh, and video game. Can't forget that.
Because we are pairing up with Coopolo Nerds, who runs a video game / board game YouTube channel, and sometimes they do movies. They haven't done movies in a long time, though. But
no. All right.
Okay. So,
Geekway.
As we said in the last one, we were heading to Geekway,
Yes.
and as the podcast came out, we had just gotten back from
Right.
Geekway. So we're going to discuss Geekway to the West. It is a board game convention in St. Charles,
St. Charles,
Missouri, which
Missouri.
is basically just north of St. Louis.
Northwest corner of St. Louis, yeah.
Yeah, it's been around for a while. I don't remember when the first one. Yeah, oh yeah, I listened to a very old or a older, probably 4 years old at least, podcast of the Dice Tower, and they were talking about Geekway.
Okay.
That he'd been to.
Okay. I thought it had only been around 5 or 6 years.
It
hasn't been around for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
But now both of us are going to go look.
Yeah, we're both going to look it up. See when it was started. See if it tells us when it was started. And
2005.
2005. So
in board game designer Jay Little's basement.
Well, that's where most of your
15 people
cons start.
showed up.
That's how most of your cons go.
Yeah.
But this one was kind of cool. I mean, we've been to Dice Tower West, and it was probably that size.
It says here only a few short years ago, the annual tradition has grown to hundreds of people gathering. So,
okay.
yeah. So it
still.
has not been a full-fledged convention for
This
very
one, if
long.
you ever been to Dice Tower West, we haven't been to Dice Tower East, so we can't compare it to Dice Tower East. It is smaller than Origins.
Yes.
We haven't been to PAX, but the only one we can really compare it to is Dice Tower West.
Yeah.
It's a smaller dealer hall, if you want to call it a dealer hall, because it's just like the extra part of the gaming area.
Yeah, same exact setup as Dice Tower West.
There's
They
one
just cordon off a
huge
section of it.
room with hundreds of tables of people playing games at, and on the end of it, it's like 3 aisles that are probably 50 foot long. Maybe 4 aisles. That is where all the dealers are, and they had a lot of game companies there.
They had a lot of game companies there. I was very impressed by the turnout of in the dealer hall.
Yes.
They had a lot of stuff going on. We ended up coming home with a few deals.
Mm-hmm. Then you had the demo. Some of the demos were in some of the rooms that you could that you had to register for. Some was out in the main hallway.
Center. Yes, they had games. They had tables set up all over the place.
Yeah.
All of the conference rooms were set up with tables for various games that you could ticket for.
I guess there was stuff upstairs in the ballroom, which we never made. We don't know. We only was there for Saturday.
We were there Saturday. We ended up into a really late game on Saturday night, so we left there about 1 o'clock in the morning. But no, upstairs was the Saturday night event was called. Oh, it was a dress-up event. You could dress in your finest and go up and game. So people all dressed up in suits and ties and stuff like that.
Okay. And I know there was a rummage sale or whatever up there Sunday morning.
Which we were going to go back for. We decided to save ourselves some money and not do that.
And ended up spending it once we got back to Indy.
Yes, we did.
Well, we didn't even quite get to Indy. We got to Brownsburg.
Right. So, from what I understand, there was about 3,000 people there, is what we were told. During our late game.
Yeah.
One of the other girls there told me that.
Where we got to meet Jamie Stegmaier.
We did.
During that game.
Yes, very briefly.
If you don't know who Jamie Stegmaier is and you're in the board game hobby, you've been living under a rock. He is the co-owner of Stonemaier Games.
Yes.
And I believe he was designer of Scythe.
I think so, yeah. I think so.
And Rolling Realms. which we're going to be possibly playing on the 24th.
Absolutely. All right, so very fun convention. We started our day off with a game of Endangered. We did the Red Wolf expansion, the American Red Wolf. Very interesting version of it, because you're not... The farm... It's not so much that the habitats are being destroyed. The wolves are trying to move through farmland, and the farmers don't want them to.
Yes.
So you have to try to convince the farmers to allow the wolves to move through freely.
Yeah.
And occasionally they won't. And that's how you lose your American Red Wolves, is that the farmers are shooting them.
Yep. And that was the latest release expansion.
Yes.
We had a chance to get that.
Yes.
And autographed by Joe Hopkins, who taught the games.
Yes.
But for some weird reason, we passed up, because he even told us they were sold out of it already.
Yeah.
And for some reason, we just did not pick it up, because we thought,
one
we
of the
don't have
gentlemen we were with did.
we don't have any room in the box that we have.
The box
And we told him,
is
like, you
full.
need a big box. And he explained why they don't have a big box,
Yes.
which I thought was really cool.
I thought it was very interesting too. So his concept, because they've had 2 full-size games, and if you've never heard of Endangered, the idea behind Endangered is that you are saving endangered animals from their habitats being destroyed.
Yeah.
You're trying to breed them to bring them out of the extinction, the risk of extinction.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, you're also trying to lobby for better laws about the extinction.
Yeah, it's like it's the UN almost, isn't it?
Pretty much, because you're going after multiple countries trying to
Yes.
get them to support your initiatives.
Mm-hmm.
So we've played about half of the ones we have. But the box is literally packed to the gill with everything we have. I got it all into one box, and there's no way. We did buy the butterflies, the monarch butterflies.
Yes, because it was just a little pack.
It was just a little bitty bag, so it fit. I could squeeze it into the box, but there was no way I was fitting a full-fledged, even the mini expansions.
Yeah,
It just
and
wasn't
the Red Fox's box wasn't that large,
No.
but
Yeah, same size as the
that
panda one.
our
but
box
still.
of Endangered is packed to the gills, as you said.
Yes. So anyway, back to why they won't do a big box. So he's been asked multiple times to do a big box to be able to hold all the expansions more comfortably. And he said, yes, he's thought about it, but at the same time, the whole concept of the game is conservation. And what message does printing out a big box and encouraging you to throw away the boxes you have, what message does that send toward conservation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine.
You could always put a big piece of paper as soon as you open them. So please recycle your old boxes.
There you go.
And no, we don't ever throw away our boxes
No.
because they're the backers of our game
Yeah,
shows
I put
to
them
keep the
behind the
games out
games.
towards the front.
Yep. So anyway, we've got a play of that in. Then we went over and just toured the dealer hall a little bit. Spent a little bit of money. Ate some lunch, that kind of thing. Okay, to back up just a little bit, while we were waiting for our gameplay of Endangered, we did check out, they had 2 rooms where you could check out games. One was the library.
Yep.
And they had a pretty decent collection.
Yeah, they did.
And then they also had a play-to-win room where they had multiple copies of a lot of different games. And if you played the game, when you came back, you could fill out a form on their website. They had a bunch of iPads around where you could fill out the forms to potentially win the game.
Yes.
So we got in a game of Sail, which is another one of the small box all play games.
Mm-hmm. This one I've been curious about.
I have been too. I've heard a lot about it. I did not realize it was cooperative till we pulled it out and started reading the directions.
Yeah.
That's when I figured out it was cooperative. But very interesting game about trying to get your ship all the way down.
It was not cooperative.
Yes, it was.
Was it?
Yes, it was
I don't remember it being cooperative because I thought you wanted them to get pushed into the pirates and stuff.
You were trying to keep it from being pushed into the pirates and get to the very end so you both could win.
So maybe I played that game all wrong.
Oh my gosh.
Because I think I was trying to push it.
No.
Are you positive?
I'm
pretty sure that's not what it was.
Yes. Anyway, while he's looking up to verify I'm correct, I'll continue explaining the game.
You go right ahead.
So anyway, you're playing cards. It's a trick-taking game where you are playing cards and whoever wins the trick...
Oh, yeah, it's a trick-taking game, cooperative game. Okay.
Whoever wins the trick gets to determine which direction the ship moves. Mm-hmm. Now, that being said, if I win the trick, it moves my direction. Vice versa. If he wins the trick, it moves his direction. So sometimes you want it to lose the trick so that your opponent or your partner can move the ship the right way.
Yeah, because you don't want to run into
blocked.
the rocks. You don't want to run into any pirates.
Right.
You don't want to run into the sea monster, the Kraken.
Exactly. So the goal is to get basically down the length of sea before the game is over, before so many rounds have passed. Very interesting little cooperative game.
The icons on the cards actually tell you what you get to do that turn, where you're going to move your ship.
Yeah, there are 2 icons up in the corner, and it tells you that
draw cards.
You could do something with. If you win, you get to do this.
Yep.
So it was interesting.
It was interesting. It's not one we decided we didn't know if we really wanted to pick it up because it was there.
Yeah,
we could have picked it up
if we
getting
wanted it at some point, but we did not pick it up that weekend.
Yeah, because we've talked about picking up a lot of the small all-play games.
Yeah.
Right now we have Mountain Goats.
Yes.
That's it.
All right, so after that, we got in a play test of a new game that is still under total development. It's not slated for release or Kickstarter.
It's fourth quarter. Kickstarted fourth quarter.
Scrappers was?
Oh, not Scrappers. I'm thinking of the other.
No, I was going to say, this was a total straight-up play test. So this was a game called Scrappers. It was very much still in development.
Scrappers, but now I remember it.
It was pretty interesting. You had 2 robots, and you're laying down tiles between connections
to build routes.
Try to get to various colored routes in order to pick up resources and stuff.
Of that color to fulfill cards.
Yeah, you could fulfill various goal cards, and we only got about a half a play in before a half of the group ended up having to leave. So,
yeah, because we had a game we had to go to.
So, but yeah, it was interesting. I'm hoping it keeps that name so we can track it.
Yeah.
But 2, because it started out as something completely different. He said Scrappers, it just got changed to that name.
I thought didn't he say it started off? What was it? Was it like a Lord of the Rings game or something like that?
No,
it was something completely different.
Something completely different.
Yeah.
That we were kind of shocked at what it was.
And he completely changed the whole thing.
I don't remember now. But anyway, so we got a play test of that in with a couple other people.
And now it definitely has some. There's something there.
I think it has some potential.
Yeah.
I definitely think it has some potential. There's still a lot of bugs to be worked out. So. Like I said, we'll see what happens.
Yep.
All right. The next one we got a chance to play was a new game coming out fourth quarter called Hexes of Saigon.
Yeah, this hits Kickstarter.
Yes, and we'll be watching for it.
Yeah.
Very interesting. When we first...
At first impressions of it, it was Catan.
It looked like
psychedelic Catan.
Yes. Yes, very much so. But once you really got into it, it lost that Catan feel. Other than the cards, you were
still kept it
cards
somewhat of a Catan feel.
Resources.
Yeah.
So
to be able to do different things.
And honestly,
and build things.
If you got rid of the cards and used actual resources, you'd probably lose a lot of that Catan feel. Got rid of those cards.
I kind of liked having the cards because it was easier to see what you had. I thought.
I think I'd have rather had just
the cards because I liked the artwork was amazing.
The artwork was amazing. Yes, I agree there. The colors were just beautiful.
So it's definitely one people should check out. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
And we had
one of the co-developers.
One of the developers was taught us to us
and played with us. So yeah, it was good. She won though.
Yeah, that's what I teased her.
No, that means that she wanted a tiebreaker. She and I tied.
Yes, but she still won.
But she won the tiebreaker.
So it was a bad teach.
12, yeah. Yes.
Because we have a thing, if the person teaching the game wins the game, it was a bad teach.
Right.
Because they didn't teach you everything you needed to know to win the game.
Right. Okay.
And since she won, even though it was a tiebreaker, I thought I had that game won.
No.
And then all of a sudden, you guys just popped out of nowhere with everything you needed. I was like, what?
It was great. All right. So anyway, that is Hexes of Saigon. Last game we got in. And before I go into this part, I'm going to back up just a hair. One of the neatest things we found about Geekway to the West was they had this app. And it's not just for them. This is an app called Meet Geek or Geek Meet. What was the name of that app? I've still got it on my phone.
My phone's not around me.
I've still got it on my phone. It is Meeple Meet.
Meeple Meet.
Meeple Meet. So it's called Meeple Meet, and on this app, I'm assuming various conventions use this. I don't know. This is the first time we've ever run into it.
Mm-hmm.
You can put in a convention code, and it will pull up all this different stuff for this convention you're at, and it's basically just a schedule that everybody can use. If you've downloaded the app, you can put in games there. Hey, guys, I'm looking for players.
Yeah, you can go into the library and say, I want to play this game, but I don't have anybody to play with it. You can put it in, give a time and an area you're going to be at.
Yep.
And people can say, oh, I'm in, and reserve a seat.
And click on it to reserve a seat. Mm-hmm. So we did that, and we met some... Matter of fact, we're Facebook friends now, so we met Jennifer.
Yeah. And she's a Dice Tower retreat person, too.
Yes, yeah. Her and her husband, mind you, her husband is one of the people we played Endangered with.
Yes.
So that was small world. Mm-hmm. But they're Dice Tower retreat goers, so we're going to get to play again with them in September.
Yeah, because she wants a rematch with me of this game that we're about to talk about.
Yes. All right, so the last game we got to play that we reserved our seats for through Meeple Meet is Scholars of the South Tigris. Now, we've already bought this game. It is sitting on our shelves still in shrink. We've not even punched the silly.
So we figure what better way to learn it is have somebody teach it to us.
She learned it earlier that weekend and was so in love with it, she kept wanting to play it. So that's why she did the meetup for it, which I thought was fantastic. So we got to meet her and, like I said, hook up with her husband again, but her husband went home. He didn't want to play anymore. But so played with another friend of hers named Sadie. So the four of us played this till 1 a.m. Mm-hmm. It was probably, if you take out all of the small interruptions, Jamie Stegmeyer coming over and talking, the late start because we were waiting for Sadie to get there, the whole works. We probably played for a solid 4 hours. Mm-hmm. Now, that being said, there was a lot of AP.
There is a ton. I was having AP, and I don't have a lot of AP when I play, and I was having a lot of AP in this game.
Yes. There was another tie in this one, only this time Greg won the tiebreaker. This was a tie between Greg and Jennifer, who taught us the game, who is demanding a rematch when we get to Dice Tower Retreat.
She wants the rematch because her last turn, she goes, true. Are you going to win? I was like, I don't even think I'm close. So she gave me because you retire... You have certain workers out there doing certain things, and if you do this and do this, it gets a little star or something like that. And when it has a certain amount of stars, whatever it's on the card, you get it back and you score points for it.
Right.
And she asked me, are you even close to winning? I was like, or are you going to win? I was like, I don't even think I'm close. I think I'm going to lose this game really bad. So she retired mine, so I got the points for it, and that's what tied us.
Uh-huh.
And then I had a bunch of coins left, which won the tiebreaker. So, but I was surprised. I honestly didn't think I was winning this game. I thought I was so far behind in this game.
Yeah, I'm the one who came in last with 35. Mm-hmm. Sadie had 36, and you guys tied at 46. Mm-hmm. So, very interesting game. I'm very definitely looking forward to getting it back to the table and punching our own copy.
Yeah, and right now it still sits over there in shrink. So.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get to the S's at the very least. Hopefully, way before that.
Well, we got a lot of games right now to get filled up. So we can continue on with that.
Yep. All right. So that was our entire trip of Geekway to the West. Probably way more than you ever wanted to know. But it was fun. And
it's a lot of fun. If you get a chance to go.
Again next year.
Yeah. If anybody wants to, you can go to Geekway to the West online. You can find out more information about it. It's a lot of fun. If you're going to a con to play games, this is one to go to because that's all you do. You have a small dealer hall where you're not going to get lost in it like at Gen Con. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot more spaces to just sit down and play a game. Yeah. And the library's free. You don't have to reserve a spot and pay a ticket to get into the library like a Gen Con.
We're finding that about some of these smaller cons. Dice Tower West the same way. The library was free. Tons and tons and tons of spaces to just sit down and play, which is the whole idea. We'd always been to Gen Con, and that was what we measured everything up against. But the more smaller cons we go to, the more I'm finding I like the smaller cons more.
Because you meet more people.
Oh, my gosh. We have met so many people at the last 2 cons we've gone to.
Mm-hmm. And you get to play more games. Because like Dice Tower West was the con that we went to that I think we played more games at a convention, that convention, ever at any other conventions.
And we met so many people that we still talk to. Mm-hmm. So, and probably will continue to talk to.
Because we have Matt, who is our West Coast correspondent and promoter of the West Coast.
Yeah, we've got Matt and Weston and the guys from Salt Lake City that are now on the channel, and we've got quite a few people we met there. Yep. So I'm excited to continue forging those relationships.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, Geekway, we will there's a good possibility we'll hit it again next year.
Yep.
We'll see. All right, and moving on.
We are moving on. I heard this the other day. People were talking about games that came out the year they went headlong into the hobby.
Okay.
2014, I think, was the official year we've decided that was the year.
Yeah, it was either late 13, early 14.
Yeah.
And I say this because I specifically remember we took Pandemic with us to Italy, and we went to Italy
That was 14.
in May of 2014.
Yes.
July of 2014.
Because I think that Gen
like
Con was the first year we actually went to Gen Con and bought board games.
Not role-playing
Usually
games,
it was role players because we were the role players still in 13.
It was somewhere there late. I don't remember exactly when that game over at Doug and Sarah's was.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was late 2013, early 2014. So
Right.
somewhere in there.
Okay, so I went on BGG and I pulled up games released in 2014.
Okay.
I figured we'd go over some. There's 8 pages. We're not going to go over 8
Please
pages.
don't,
I think
yeah.
we'll go over the first page and that's it.
We're going to be way over your hour and a half time frame if we do.
Probably. Anyway, so I got these in ranking order. Well, they're not quite ranking orders, but they're close to being. No, they're the geek ranking order.
Okay.
Not the average, but the geek. So the top one from that says 2017. Why is that on the list? Top one on the list is Star Wars Imperial Assault. We never played this.
No, never played that one.
Next one is 5 Tribes.
Got
We've
it.
played 5 Tribes
I
a
like
lot.
it,
And
yeah.
I like it.
I've always liked this game.
It has a 7.6 on
Still.
the BGG still.
10 years old, okay.
Yep. Phil DeVarl. This is one of our top two-player games that we have, and it's a huge box for a 2-player game.
Yeah, but there's a lot in that box.
It's bigger than Stronghold even.
Yeah, there's a lot in that box.
Mm-hmm. Terra Mystica's Fire and Ice came out in 2014. That's the expansion.
That long ago?
I did not realize that expansion came out that long ago. We have it, and we've maybe played it once. The Fire and Ice expansion.
Yeah.
Roll for the Galaxy came out in 2014, and that one we were excited about because we liked Race for the Galaxy. We got Roll for the Galaxy.
We liked Race. We liked dice chucking games, or at least at the time we really liked dice chucking games because that's what games were. You chuck dice.
Mm-hmm.
And this one didn't quite hit that sweet spot
Yeah, it
for
didn't
us.
quite hit it.
It's still in our collection.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how for long.
Alchemist. Now, last year at Gen Con, we got a
Dice Tower West.
Was it? No, it was
Gen
a Gen Con. It was up in the
Gen Con.
AEG room.
You're
it
right.
was late. AEG was only going to be open. That room was only going to be open for another hour. It was me, you, and Matt got in there, and another guy sat down, was trying to figure out the game. Matt had played it, but hadn't played it that recent, so he was trying to go back to the rule book, trying to figure it out. Another guy sat down and started teaching us the game, but he was just teaching us one board, and that was like the middle thing of the rules. And you needed to know the rest of the rules before you could understand the board. Because this, I did not know that this was a deduction game, kind of like Planet Unknown and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've always been curious about this game.
Yeah.
And
it looks really cool.
I want to give it another shot, but I'd like to just me and you sit down someplace. Yeah. Like if we knew somebody who had the game, we could borrow it from them.
Yeah.
And just bring it home, sit down, and learn the game. Because in big crowds, it's just too much going on to understand what the game's all about. But it looks like it has potential, but I'm not really big on those types of logic. That's what it is. It's a logic game. And I don't do well in a logic game for some reason. Turning Machine burnt my brain, but one, it was late. Yes. Planet X, just frustrates the hell out of me because I will mark something. Okay, guys. Behind the curtain here, I'm dyslexic. If you know how dyslexia works, I will see one thing. It will tell me one thing. I will write down something completely different. The guys at work, I'm a carpenter. I will write down measurements and flip-flop them. Or like say I have a measurement of 24 1/4 and I write down 24 1/2 and suddenly it's a 1/4 inch too big. And it frustrates them because, nope, you cut it a 1/4 inch long. I told you 24 1/4. No, it says 24 1/2 right there. But anyway, beside the point, I'll write down something wrong and I will get close to the end of the game or Katy will reveal something. And I'm like, no, wait, that can't be because I got this. No, that's wrong. And I was like going, Now, Planet Unknown has that. Not Planet Unknown. Search for Planet X has that history thing where you can go back and look at all your stuff. I'm not going to go back through that. I don't have the patience to do that. So logic games don't go well with me. But I would really like to figure out our Alchemist, though.
Yeah, I would like to figure this out one day. We just have to borrow it from somebody.
Yep. So, Legendary Encounters, Aliens.
Oh, anyway,
we're not really big into the alien theme.
I like the Legendary games. I'm not. Yeah. I don't care for the alien theme.
Okay. Zaya Legends of the Drift System. This is a 4X game. This is Rory Canada's favorite game, I think.
This is the one game my brother threatened to buy for us because we needed an X.
Yeah, I'm interested in playing this game. I've always been interested in playing this game. It sounds pretty. It says pilot your ship to stardom in a massive sci-fi sandbox. So this could be interesting, kind of like a Firefly, you know?
Maybe.
So it might be interested to get out and play or find it and play it.
Find it and play.
I know it's at the Dice Tower Retreat, but I don't want Roy. I'd love Roy to teach us, but I don't want to get slaughtered by Roy when he teaches it. Anyway, next one, Castles of Mad King Ludwig. This is one that I always liked a whole lot. And we've had Castles of Mad King Ludwig for a while. We've played it a lot, and now we have the
big
deluxe
box. Yeah, the deluxe edition.
The Royal Collection edition, and of course you had to back the Colossus edition that we have not played yet. Correct, because it won't fit on our tables.
I know. Maybe I'll play it during the 24 on one of the other tables with somebody. Tony will play with me. There you go.
This next one is Dead of Winter, the Crossroads game. Anyway, next one, La Granja. This just had a Kickstarter, if I'm not mistaken, not too long ago. But it's develop your farm and complete to deliver goods to the market at the right time. Kind of sounds like almost all kinds of games like that. There's a bunch of this. Kanban Drivers Edition. Now, we have played Kanban EV.
Yeah.
But this is the original, version of Kanban. So it'd be interesting to see if it's any different. Arcadia Quest, which is a kind of a dungeon. It says, fight against rival guilds and monsters in a campaign to reclaim the city of Arcadia. It's kind of like the Super Dungeon Explorer we have. It's by the same makers. Power Grid Deluxe, Europe and North America. That is the one we actually have. Yes, that's the Power Grid version that we have. I had to look over there and look for it. This is
which I'm looking forward to playing again.
Yes, I really like that game.
I'm almost afraid to look up the last time we played this.
I can tell you right now. We played it last in 2015. November 15th, 2015 was when last we played it. Probably when we bought it.
Okay, now to be fair.
We played it 3 times.
To be fair,
we've played this more than that.
Exactly. I did not track from 16 and 17. I've got a few things
because I know we played this with
15.
Justin.
Yep. I've got a few things from 14 and 15 tracked, and then I started actively tracking our gameplays in 18. So we did play it in 16 and 17. I just don't have anything logged for them because we weren't tracking back then.
Okay.
So, but still, we haven't played it since I started actively tracking in 2018.
Yeah.
That was 6.5 years ago. But yet this sits in our collection because it's just that good.
Mm-hmm.
The P's are coming, though.
The P's are coming. We're going to the O's first. Next one is Imperial Settlers. We've played the heck out of this game, and we have everything for it. And this of the Imperial Settlers genre, because there's a multiple games of this. This is the one I like the most.
Yeah, I liked Empires to the North. I did.
It was okay, I thought.
It did a lot different, though.
I think I liked Miners better than
Miners was interesting. Mm-hmm. I did like Miners. I don't know. Anyway.
And this is the one that's kind of like is 51st State as well. It's the same thing, but 51st State is post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, which I'd be curious to play once at least. All right.
Viticulture Tuscany. We have
the
Essentials. I believe your friend in Virginia, Lisa, has this because we just got her Viticulture World, which makes it a co-op.
Yes, I think so.
Which we have not played yet either. No. Fire on the Lake, that's a coin game. I think that one just had a Kickstarter a few years back too, but I'm not 100% sure, but we've never played it. It's a coin game. Deus sounds really cool. We haven't played it yet because it says develop your civilization and repeat your advancement in this engine builder. You don't do engine builder.
Well, okay. I like engine builders. Here lately, I can't seem to build a freaking engine to save my life, though. So
you need gas first.
Just saying. Shush.
Shadows Over Brimstone might be, I mean, I know it's an expensive game, but it is a co-op dungeon crawl, which might be another cool one to bring up for Doug and Sarah, because they like co-ops and dungeon crawlers. But we got enough of them to play first before we do this one. But right now, I know it's like over $100 for the game.
Oh, it'll wait. So.
And this was City of the Ancients, which I think was an expansion. I'm sure. Legendary Marvel deck building game, Paint the Town Red. This brought
the Spider-Man one.
Yeah, but this brought in brought in Carnage and Mysterio.
Yeah, that was the Spider-Man one.
Mm-hmm. Aquasphere. Stefan Feld game. This is one of my top Stefan Feld games, I believe. It didn't used to be when we first played it. I hated this game because of the octopods.
This game. I
really started learning how to manage the octopods.
Yeah, and that's the key to it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like in Notre Dame, you got to manage the rats.
Mm-hmm.
You can't avoid them. They're going to come. You just got to know how to manage them.
Battle of Five Armies. This is a War of the Ring game. Have not played it. Cyclades, the Titan expansion. I liked that one too. That kind of made the game a little bit different because one Titan was like 2 or 3 of your base armies or something like that. So it made it cool. Cosmic Encounters, Cosmic Dominion. This is the only expansion for Cosmic Encounters we have. It's the little green box that's actually still in the box.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've played any of the things out of it yet. But
probably not.
Port, the Village expansion port,
okay.
that changed that game big time.
It changed that game substantially.
Skullville.
Never played it.
You have played Skullville.
Scoville. I'm thinking Skull. Never mind.
Scoville. Did I say Skull?
Yeah, I heard Skullville, and I'm like, oh no.
Am I getting my dad's accent?
My brain went to the box with the picture of the skull, the psychedelic skull on it. I haven't played that one. Never mind. Scoville. Yes, I've played that one. I like that one.
Firefly the Game Blue Sun expansion. Every expansion in this game I really liked. All of them came out about the
same time.
This was actually the second expansion because the first expansion was Crime and Punishment. I looked it up. But if you don't know, Firefly is my favorite game of all time.
Yeah.
Legendary Marvel deck building game, Villains. This is one, we have it. This is the one where you're playing the villains against the heroes, and it also can join up with the regular Marvel one that you can play villains and heroes on the same team.
We have a lot of Marvel Legendary to the point where I need some sort of a storage system.
Trying to see if there's any more on this list. Yeah, there's Pirates and Bounty Hunters was actually the first one.
Okay.
Of Firefly.
Okay.
But I think that is everything we have. Oh, Viceroy. We just picked that up not too long ago just to see. And Fresco, the big box.
Okay.
So, yeah, that is only the first page of 2014 of games that came out that we've done. We have played, I have another listing I'm not going to go through, but we have played 39 games from 2014 out of the thousands and thousands of games that came out.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised.
So, okay, let's move on. So let's go to games we back because Katy can't say no.
The most recent Kickstarter, and it was actually on GameFound that I backed, we talked about Ice. And Ice has had a second edition published. They addressed a lot of the issues that people had with the game. The length of the game, the length of setup, all that kind of stuff. And I guess have fixed some of those things. Luckily, so I backed the new Ice expansion, or the new Ice upgrade, I should say. However, they did a program for returning backers, recognizing that, people who have the first edition don't want to pay $100 for a second edition. They just want the upgraded stuff. So that's what I backed. So it gives you new tiles, because there are some new tiles in play, I don't know if it's going to come with the new board or not. That's what I'm questioning.
I hope not, because I like the board we have.
I like the board we have, but part of the upgrade is that instead of 3 layers of ice, it's 2 layers of ice now.
Mm-hmm.
So
you don't have the edifice tiles.
Right, the edifice tiles are now an actual expansion. They've taken those out of the base game and made them an expansion.
Yep, and they're actually printed on the bottom of the board, though, aren't they?
I think there is something printed directly on the bottom of the board. I don't remember. I'd have to look at it. But I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on it. We will definitely hit more detail on it once we get it, and I find out more about it. I just know I wanted the upgrade. So, yeah, there you go.
Well, let's go on to Ins and Outs of the Board Game Collection, where we talk about games that are in, out, surprise and disappointments of the episodes of playing through our collection.
Episode 34. At this point, we are firmly in... Well, actually, we're wrapping up the H's, it looks like, here. So, episode 34 was a game called Hear Me Out. Party game. Kind of weird. Headbands Disney. We also had Headbands Adults and a few others, but we got rid of them a long time ago. We didn't even play them for this. Herd Your Horses. Hero Clicks. Heroes Wanted. Heroes Welcome. Hero Quest. Heroscape, and Heroscape Marvel, The Conflict Begins. It's basically Heroscape with a Marvel theme. I'm sure y'all figured that out, though. Hi-Ho Cheerio. Yes, we sat down and played the kids' game. Hi-Ho Cheerio.
4 adults did.
4 adults, and we laughed our little... Oh, we laughed something fierce. Anyway, Hiss, Hit the Deck, Hit the Trail, and Hit Zeroed.
I don't remember Hit the Deck.
Hit the Deck is a glorified war game.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, it's a glorified war. All right, meaning the card game of war we all played in middle school. You know, that game. All right, so our ins and outs on this one. Our in. Well, this was kind of obvious. This game was going nowhere. Once we've had it for 30 years now, 25 years.
We bought this when our kids were very young.
Yes, this is Hero Quest. We still have the original Hero Quest. A little worse for wear, but it is actually in remarkably good condition considering the age of it.
The box has seen some wear because it sat in the kids' room for a long time.
It did, yes. When we actually played it for this video, though, my brother has got the new edition. His wife bought him the new Kickstarter for Christmas, so he got the whole new thing. Actually, it wasn't even Kickstarter, was it? It was done through...
No, it was not Kickstarted itself. It was done through...
the game company.
Hasbro?
Yeah, this was a Hasbro...
Milton Bradley, Hasbro, whoever it was.
Yeah. So anyway,
Parker
she
Brothers.
bought him this for Christmas, and for his birthday that year, it just happened to fall right into line. He loves GMing this game. He loves being the one versus
me and him
many.
used to play it a lot when he was younger, too.
So we got in a couple scenario plays of this one, and it is just as good as it ever was. You know, it is what it is. It's a basic dungeon crawl, but it has held up, I think, for good reason.
Yep.
All right, so that is in. The game that left our collection was a game called Herd Your Horses. Herd as in to make them move, not
to herd them along,
not to hear them. So this was an interesting one. There were only 3 scenarios in the box. And each scenario, you are basically just trying to accomplish goals with getting various types of horses as you are moving from point A to point B. We ended up letting this one go, and it wasn't even because the game was bad. I thought the game actually had some merit, but it came down to the fact there were only 3 scenarios in the box. We'd already played 1.
It wasn't that a person attractive box for
it was
somebody
not
to
an
take
attractive
it off the shelf.
box that it would come off the shelf. This one did sit in the travel collection, but it was one of those that we had to make a cut somewhere, so it just didn't quite make the cut. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad, because right after we released this video, I had a watcher or listener from Canada contact me and said she'd been looking for this game for years because her 7-year-old daughter was absolutely fascinated with horses and wanted it. So it has found a new home, and I hope it is being well loved.
Yep.
All right. We really did not have a surprise on this one.
Nope.
If anything, it would be Hit Z Trail, but even then we knew how good it was long before we started this list.
It wasn't Hit Z Trail.
Or Hit Z Road, I'm sorry.
Hit Z Road. That
Hit
one
Z
was
Road.
cool.
Yeah, it was an interesting. I love the way it was just put
the way
together.
It was put together, yeah.
The concept was that you are
escaping
a zombie apocalypse. Yes.
You were on the road when it broke out.
Yes.
And a little kid made this game.
Yep. A kid made the game out of everything he could find. The backs of cards are the backs of popular playing cards.
Board
pieces,
games.
Board game cards. I think one of them is a 7 Wonders card backing. The pieces are all made to look like bottle caps and things like that. It's just fun. So our disappointment is and this is where Hit Z Trail came from, is Hit the Trail. This is the most adorable packaging I've ever seen on a board game.
It's like a mini backpack.
It's a little mini backpack you could put on a doll or something. At its heart, it's just a card game, though. It is a card game that you're basically looking for the right numbers for hiking the trail, if I remember correctly. It's been a little while. The packaging is so cute. We played it once when we first bought it on our road trip back in 2016. Didn't play it again until just now. Actually, we played it a couple times on that road trip. Didn't play it again until just for filming this video. It just didn't... It wasn't nearly as good as I thought I remembered. So, but anyway, it's still in our collection because the packaging is adorable. It hangs off the end of our calyx and, it is what it is. All right, so episode 35, and I should say we played 15 games on 34. 35, we played 14. We played the two-player game of Hive, very, very popular abstract strategy game where you're just moving bugs around the table. Hobbit, the deck-building game, or I should say the Hobbit deck-building game. Hold Your Horses, not herd, hold your horses. Holding On, The Troubled Life of Billy Kerr. Hoopla, a cranium game. Horde's High Command. Hot Tin Roof. Hubbub, the game of sound, mind, and body. Hugh New. Hugger Mugger. Hunger Games District 12. Hunger Games Training Days. Hungry Hungry Herd, Farmville Edition. And Hungry Hungry Hippo. Okay, so this was okay, before we start, the Hungry Hungry Hippos were freaking hilarious to play.
Yeah, we played them at the same time.
We played them both at the same time, and we would... it was great. It was hysterical.
We have a mini,
I know we recorded a short. Did we ever put it out?
I don't know.
I'll have to look. I still have the video if I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to look and see if I put it out. If I didn't, I'm going to have to get that out. Anyway, all right, so back to the ins and outs. The one that stayed. Matter of fact, this is the only game that is still in our collection from this grouping, and that is Horde's High Command. We actually have 2 copies of this because I found a copy at Goodwill or something for super cheap. So we have 2 copies of this one now. But Horde's High Command is essentially a card game. It's a 4-player card game where before the game is done, you pick out all the cards to build your army. And you're basically, it's a card battle game. I'm not sure how else to explain it, but that's basically it.
Yeah,
there's more to it. The cards have powers. But...
Yeah, the cards have powers. You select like 3 warlocks that goes in your deck, and that's going to dictate exactly how your faction's going to play. So it kind of changes up depending on the warlocks you have it. But it's kind of a Magic-esque kind of game that if you put kind of bring in that game you don't like, which is a lot though, but about
there's
where you're trying to you like Dark Dominions, but there's another game that you don't like. I can't remember the name of it now. What is that?
I like Dark. Yeah.
You like the Dark Dominions version.
Dark Minions.
Of this. Dark Minions.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
It's a very popular game. But anyway, it's where you're trying to take control of different areas with your soldiers, and you're going to battle, and it's one of those you take control of things to win the game. But
yeah, it's why can't I think of this? Hold on, it's one of our Marvel games. Mm-hmm. Okay, Smash Up. That's what it's called. Smash Up. No, I do not like that game. I don't know why. I just have never cared for that one.
Anyway,
the games that were out. So the games that left our collection. We played. Well, it was the 2 Hunger Games.
Yes.
I think I could see what they were trying to do, but I think it was a quick cash grab on both of these games. Yes, it was. They're just not. I mean, they're mass market games.
Yeah, and like we said though in the video, if you're big on the Hunger Games, you might like it because it's kind of
ties into it.
Kind being really light in the word of a theme to it. Kind of like the movie.
Well, and one of them, and I don't remember which one it was now, District 12 or Training Days, but one of them, the basis of if you fail a challenge, you have to put one of your colored cards into
That's
a
District
stack.
12. Because,
That's District 12.
Because
okay.
you could be one of the
one of the tributes.
Tributes, yeah.
So you have to put your card into the stack, and at the start of the game, everybody gets 2 cards into the stack, and that stack is to signify the glass bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you fail a challenge at some point during the game, you have to put another card into the stack.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the game, doesn't matter how well you did and how well you managed your resources.
And kept your cards out of that stack.
Shuffle that stack, and whoever's card is pulled is the loser. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
You have no chance of winning. Your score is 0.
Yep.
So, and I just don't like the games
So you had to
that
play
do
a
that.
game for a half hour or however long that game was, and they'd come down to a single card draw.
Yeah.
That determines the entire game. It's like you might as well just shuffle all the cards together and just draw one. Okay, this person loses. Okay, game over.
Game over, done.
Because it was not really worth playing.
It was.
Training days had a lot of chance in it.
Training days had a lot of chance in it, but you got various tributes throughout the game, and you got bonuses, and there was at least a little bit of strategy in that one. I don't remember what District 12 strategy was.
As I say, you said that in the video, there was strategy. I was like, not really, but I mean, there is, to the point where you see the people that come out. It's like, okay, I could use that because I could connect with him and get that power that I could get when I connect those two. But as I said in the video too, the part that I did not like is that you put your coins out. You could put 2 coins on one. Like I had 9 points on one card, and you had 3, and then you add your bonuses and then roll a dice.
The dice roll is what got you. And the dice roll
I would lose it even though I had total control of it. But
yeah, the dice roll definitely added a lot more chance than it should have. Mm-hmm. But either way, they both left the collection.
We've visited these games a minute too long already. So
okay. The surprise on this one. This is just a little bitty. I mean, it's
a little bitty round card game.
Yeah, it's called Hue New. HUE, as in the color. Hue New, or not the color, but the hue of a color.
Yes.
So the idea with this one is these are round cards that sit in the middle of the table, and there's a bunch of colored pawns that sit on the table as well, and all of the pawns are represented. All those colors are represented on the cards. The problem is the cards, the colors, and the words are mixed up. So you'll have all the different words to the colors on the card: brown, yellow, red, blue, green, whatever, all 10 different colors. But they're all mixed up. The brown will actually be the word brown will be in the color of orange. The word blue will be in the color of yellow. The word green will be in the color of red. And
not the same time the whole time, but because red could be an orange one at one point, or a blue one another time.
All the cards are different.
Yep.
The idea is that you have to find the one word on there that's written correctly, that the color is correct. Yellow is actually written in yellow, and you have to grab the yellow pawn first. And then that person gets so many points. It's just a very chaotic, fun game of trying to search and make your brain see what it's actually seeing.
And it's played up to 6?
It plays up to 6 players, I think, yeah. This is one that we think might be on the short list for the 24.
Possibly, yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, it plays up to 6. 15-minute game.
Yeah, I may pull this one out and just put it on the shelf. So anyway, that is Hue New. Big surprise. Did not expect to like that one as much as we did. All right, and finally, our disappointment for this last episode was a game called Holding On: The Troubled Life of Billy Kerr.
This one I had such high hopes for.
Yes, me too. This one was an odd game. And we played a couple scenarios of it, and we put it away, and then we pulled it back out for this video. And I didn't like it any more than I did the first time I played it. I was really hoping that after sitting for a while and knowing what I was going into, I would like it more, and I really just didn't.
No.
All right, so the idea with this one is that Billy Kerr is dying. He was on a trip. He was brought into the hospital where you work, where you and your fellow players work. It's a cooperative game. And you are trying to manage his heart levels, his health, while at the same time trying to get information from him about his life so you can contact his next of kin. But he doesn't want to talk about his life. So you have to persuade him to talk about his life so that you can get this information from him, because he's in a foreign country, is the gist I got from it. So you're having to manage stress levels of the nurses who are working the shifts. You're managing Billy's health levels. You're also managing his memories, because as each round, more memories will come out, and you've got to try to make them clear again and get him to talk about them. It was just weird. It was a weird concept of a game. We never won a game.
No.
We lost every one.
Yep.
It was, it left the collection. It didn't even go to the other collection. It did to the travel collection.
It was kind of a game that would put stress on you
as a player.
To just put stress on you, it felt like.
Yeah.
It was so...
It was very unusual.
A very stressful game.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure out how you're going to keep the nurses in there and try and get the information you needed and keep them good. So, but yeah, did not live up to what I was hoping to.
No, it did not, unfortunately. Okay, that is it for playing through our collection.
Yep. So
our ins and outs.
Yep. So normally this is where we go and start talking about a game we deep dived. Well, we have been so busy, one, going to Geekway, two, getting ready for the 24. We haven't really been able to get a play in of a game, multiple plays of a game in that we could actually deep dive it enough.
That we felt comfortable deep diving.
Right. So we're going to actually do hopefully a brief talk about...
Instead of deep diving, we're going to toe dip.
We're going to toe dip and do some... We have 6 games that we recently got that are recent releases, at least as of 2023.
Yeah.
One's actually a 2024 game. But yeah, we're going to... Hopefully we can keep these down to short so you're not listening 3 hours later trying to...
I'm hoping so,
out.
Because,
we have people coming to do some testing for the 24 here in probably a half hour.
25 minutes.
25 minutes. So we got to get through this.
Okay. All right. Okay. First game we're going to talk about is Skyrise, an auction type game.
An auction kind of area control game where you're putting out buildings. So it's a really cool looking game.
What I liked about this one is that the board adjusts. You've got your main player board. The idea is that you are no longer building on Earth. That's so yesterday. You are now building in the clouds.
Yes.
So you've got your base board, which just is essentially just your score track, really. And then you've got pieces that go up on top based on the number of players. You always have your central hub, your central city hub, and then you have 4 sections of the city that slide
depending on player
count, that slide into that central hub. So our game had two central pieces, or 2 pieces. So you've got these pieces, and they're made up of all different colored districts. You take a bunch of tokens, and you put them out on the districts. It's all random, and those give you various bonuses. Kind of like, it reminded me a little bit of Trekking the World in the way you collect souvenirs, souvenir tokens on your suitcase. Yeah. It was that same concept.
Because it helped you score.
Because they help you score. You score points based on how many tokens of one color you picked up and of how many districts you're in of that same color. And the more tokens you got, the better it got, till you got too many, and then it started going down because you're being greedy.
Well, for everyone you got over the track, you got 10 points for.
That's true.
Though.
So if you were going to get greedy, get really greedy.
Yeah, because when you went to finally score those properties, then it's only 4 instead of 6, the one before it was 6.
So you're auctioning off all of these things, and by auctioning, you're literally putting down one of your buildings. Everybody has the same number of buildings in 3 different sizes, and then you also have a monument that's built off the card during the second round, or second era. But each of the buildings in the game, all 4 players' buildings are all different numbers. Nobody has the same 2 numbers. So there's never going to be a tie in the auction process. So you're putting it down. The first player has to go somewhere in the central hub, and after that you have to branch off of that. And then wherever that first auction ends up, it could end up clear across the city by the time somebody says, okay, I pass. And somebody claims that sector, takes the little token off of it, puts it on their board. Done. The next player has to build off of that. And then from then on, every time you start an auction. You have to start the auction you have to start the auction near a building that's already been built.
Correct.
It doesn't have to be the last building that was built.
Right.
But it has to be a building that has already been built. But you do this until one person runs out of their initial buildings, and then you score and you start Era 2, and then you do the same thing because you get more buildings in Era 2, along with your monuments, which give you special abilities or have special rules to them. Very interesting game.
Yeah, I do like that each faction, or whatever you want to call it, has different numbers on their buildings.
Yes.
Nobody has the same number.
Right. I thought that was very good. No ties involved, so that's nice. And it was pretty well balanced.
Yep.
I thought. Like, I had a lot of them that were one number above yours, and you had a lot of them that were one number above mine. So I thought it was pretty balanced.
So anyway, this is actually a re-implementation of a game called Metropolis from 2008, which looks pretty much the same kind of.
Interesting. Okay.
It's got the same concept of the game where you're doing that.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll get it played on the 24.
Yep.
And people can see what it looks like.
Yep.
All right. Next game we are going to talk about. Which way do you want to go?
Across. We're going to do Ancient Knowledge.
All right.
This is a engine building game to a point.
To a point.
The artifacts are engine building games because you're getting cards. You got cards in your hand that you can play out. That is known as your knowledge, or it has or they're artifact cards.
They're artifacts and locations.
Yes. So the location cards on the card shows you where along the
time track.
The time track you put it in, how much knowledge that card has, and then below it'll tell you how much the card's worth, or it gives you a power.
It gives you a power of some sort.
Yes, it gives you a power at a certain point, whether it's when it declines and goes off the board or in-game scoring.
It tells you when you can use it, and it's only active so long as it's in your timeline.
Right. But then the artifacts go off usually at, what is that
Most of them were
called? Is it as everything's declining?
Yeah, it was during the decline
phase. Extra stuff
typically.
that you could do to make the card worth more as it goes, or move cards around, or take knowledge off. Because the whole point is you wanted to take the knowledge off and pass it down the line to the next generations. You didn't want cards to leave your board with knowledge on it, because unspent knowledge, or lost knowledge as they said, was bad, unless you had cards that
I had
would score
cards that gave me points if I had so much lost knowledge.
Yeah, because in the regular part of the game, those were negative points, but you had cards that actually scored them, though. But it was a lot of fun.
I enjoyed the way that everything degraded. I liked the way every round it would literally, at the end of your turn, your cards literally just moved further down the timeline till they fell off and became lost. And some of these areas, some of the cards, the artwork was beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the areas shown on the cards, I mean, they truly probably are lost knowledge. I've never heard of half of these.
Yeah.
So I don't know I can't imagine they made them up, but at the same time, there are things that are not well known now, which is sad. So, but anyway, very, very interesting card game. I'm glad we picked that one up.
Yep.
All right, the next one that we got played just this week actually was Nucleum. This is one that's always intrigued me.
Yes.
The only thing that turned me off on it was that people kept saying it's so much like Brass. And I can see the similarities. I absolutely see the similarities between it and Brass.
You're building tracks to connect cities.
Right. I never cared.
But I think that's where it
Brass
stops.
was okay, but it was never one of my favorites. So this one, though, there's just, it takes Brass and gives it a pump of steroids or something.
Well, like I said, the board, like I always said, the board looks like Brass and Power Grid had a baby.
Yeah.
Because the artwork kind of looks like that.
It does. So with this one, everybody's on your player board. You are playing out various action tiles. The action tiles eventually throughout the game will be flipped over to become railroads on the main board. But in the meantime, you are playing one action tile per turn, either to do the actions on your player board, which ultimately will determine how many resources you get when you have to pass or to recharge, as they call it. Or on your turn, you can take one action tile you've decided you don't need. And this is the heart of the game, is deciding which of those action tiles you're willing to give up. Because you took them for a reason. You took them because they're good and you want to use them. Now you've got to give it up to become a railroad on the board. You can't get anywhere on this board if you don't build the railroads.
Yeah.
So I got to the point where I was almost just grabbing action tiles for the colors, not the icons, because I knew I wanted to use them for railroads.
Right.
And
like we found, this game can be swingy because one person can be having a bad time, another person can have a great time, and then it'll flip-flop.
Yeah.
And the scores will go up and down.
One play. To be honest, we've only played each of these one time, except for the last one.
So this is kind of our first impressions of the game.
It's a toe dip.
It's a toe dip. So the next one we got... Are you done with Nucleum?
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
So the next one we got to play was Marrakesh. This is a Stuff and Feld game that I've been interested in because it's an original Stuff and Feld. It's not a remake of another game that they just changed the city name.
It's part of his city collection.
Yes. But
it was an original city collection, not a remake of one of something
And this one it has a Keshi tower. It's pretty much a resource.
It's a cube tower.
Cube tower, yeah. But you're picking which Keshi you're going to put into the tower and then putting your workers or your assistants out on those areas, and then you put everybody's in there, and what drops out, you organize what it is, and whoever's first player gets to take one
of the colors.
One of the colors, whether it has 1 or 2 or whatever on it.
Yeah. And each color represents an action on the board.
Yes, and you could take one that you don't have an assistant at yet, though, but so you'll still be able to make the action more powerful when you can actually do the action. So it was actually a lot of fun. It's your typical Feld that there is a lot of areas, different places to go to get points, and it's a point salad game.
Yeah.
So, but I really like this. This is probably ranking up there with one of my top.
I would not be afraid to say this is one of my favorite Felds at this point. Now, again, we've only played it once. I definitely wanted to dive into it a little bit further, but I really liked this one.
Okay.
I liked everything it did, even though I lost it.
You can do the one that's below it instead of go to the other side.
Oh, I could do either one. It's fine. All right, so we'll go down instead. Let's go to Japan. So
okay, let's go.
Let's go. I'm on board. Let's go. All right, so Let's Go to Japan we got a chance to play it at Jeff's house out in Virginia back in April, and then we picked it up as a Mother's Day gift for me on our way back from Geekway. We found it out at one of our local stores.
Valkyrie's Vault out in Brownsburg.
So we got a chance to play it this past week. This is the only one of this whole grouping we've played twice now. I have to admit, I liked the deluxe version that Jeff had.
Oh, yeah.
But our version was fine.
It plays the same. You just don't have the deluxe versions of it. The deluxe
I don't have the nice
pieces.
I don't have
the player mats.
Player mats, the neoprene mats. But you know what? It's fine.
It still plays.
Actually, it's still a great game. So the idea with this one is you are planning out a 6-day trip to Japan. This was somebody's pandemic project. And I think it has exploded on him because it is a very popular game from everything I can see. And
we seen this first at Dice Tower West a couple years ago.
We did, and never got a chance to play it. So I'm really glad. Yeah, before it went on Kickstarter even, and we never got a chance to play it, or I probably would have backed it. But so the idea is you are planning out your trip to Japan. You have 6 days to fill with 3 activities on each day that range between the cities of Tokyo and Kyoto. The key is that anytime you switch cities, you have to take a train back and forth. Those trains are negative points unless you can manage to get enough tokens or enough icons built up on any specific day to get the luxury train tickets. Otherwise, you have to take the generic ones, and those are unpleasant, so they are negative points. You're building up various activities. Each of your days have a certain type of activity it wants, whether on Monday I'm going shopping, on Thursday I'm going to try and focus on food, on Wednesday I'm going to go visit all the parks and look at the flowers. So each day has a theme that you do not have to abide by, but you get more points if you do. The artwork is beautiful. The theme is fantastic. And like I said, it may be that I spent a lot of years as a travel agent that this one really speaks to me and always has. It has since the first play of it, and that's why we picked it up. So, yeah, I absolutely love this one. This one I would not be afraid to say that you might just see not only a deep dive of it, you might even see a gameplay come of this one, but we'll see what happens. So.
Okay. So before we talk about the last one, I'm going to give you Katy a warning. Don't go back and look at the pictures of Skyrise on BGG. Anyway, with that, our last game we played that's new was Evacuation.
Okay.
This is one we know Jeff has talked about. This one, I don't know if it's ever truly been on my radar.
No.
But it is a Vladimir Suchi game who did Underwater Cities, which is one of your favorite games.
Yes.
So we bought this at Geekway to the West.
Okay.
And it's all about the sun is basically boiling the earth as you know it. And you just looked at those pictures, didn't you?
I did.
Anyway, so back to Evacuation. Our sun is basically boiling our planet for the most part. And we have found a new planet millions of miles away, and we are shipping things to that new planet to basically evacuate everything to the new planet to start a new world. So you start off with all these actions of resources on the home world, and you're getting resources to do things. Mm-hmm. Plus, you're trying to build factories, and you can build factories on the old world and move them to the new world, or you can send over resources to the new world and build them over there. So eventually, all your actions on one side is going to be on the other side. And your player board splits everything up to where if it produced on the new world, it stays on that side of the board. If it produced in the old world, it stays on the old world. So you have a ship that's going to go back and forth.
And, I mean, it makes sense. The theme makes it. You can't put fuel on your ship if it's sitting at the old world if you produced it on the new world. I mean, it just doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think it made perfect sense.
So, yeah, it was really cool. There's a little track that S's through everything because as you do actions, you're putting cards underneath. We just played it the base way. The more advanced way is you could turn the cards over as an action itself and do the action on the card. But we played it just the base game. And as you're doing things, it's got numbers under the actions. And when you finally are done doing actions, because you got to, after the second action, you've got to pay fuel.
Yes.
To do the next action, and the cost goes up as you're playing the energy. As the fuel. As the cost goes up, depending on how many you do, how much it's going to cost you.
Right.
So once you stop, you add up all the points on the cards above the cards, how many cards you played of the fours, and how many of the twos, or how many of the ones, and that is your power, and you're going to move up this track, and possibly gain another action to do.
Yeah, if you can time it right.
When you're building on the new world, you need to be on certain icons on that track to be able to build in that area. So you need looks like a sun, and then the other one is I don't know what the other icon looks like unless you call it an eclipse, because it's a full circle.
It is, yeah.
So it's like a full eclipse. But sometimes you need those actions to build over on the other side. So it's really cool. If you end up at the end of the game, if you still have things over on the other side, on the old world, you're going to lose points for that. So it's definitely one we want to get back to the table soon to play with the other parts of the cards so we can have those actions.
We had not even finished putting it away yet, and we were already talking about the next time we could get it out.
Yep.
And we don't do that very often. Mm-hmm. So I'm definitely looking forward to trying this one again.
Yep. So you had to go back and look.
I did.
Now you know why I told you don't go back and look.
Yeah, I do.
But if you ever tell her something don't do, she's going to do it.
Well, yeah. So. You got to do it. Don't look at these pictures. Well, there's a reason, so I'm going to go look at the pictures.
Yeah. I have a feeling we have upgraded parts for Skyrise
if I can find them.
Okay.
But I don't know if they're 3D printed. I have to look. I have to look for these.
So this is going to bring us to the end of episode 66. What has recently dropped to the channel? Episode 55 of Playing Through Our Collection. It's the final of the ends. So go watch it, comment on it, and let us know. We just recorded episode 56, Playing Through Our Collection. This one is a complete go back to cover recent pickups that start with letters we've already covered. And there's 8 games on there? 6 games?
6 games. Most of which we just talked about.
Yeah, so you can see us talk about it again. Also, don't forget our 24-hour board game marathon and video game marathon for Extra Life Children's Miracle Network, starting at 8 p.m. on June 7th and ending at 8 p.m. on June 8th. Please join us in the live chat because we have shenanigans planned for everyone watching. I will put a link in the show notes. If you want to donate to Extra Life, that link will be there. After the 24 is over, we'll be recording our top 10 worker placement and get started on the O's. But in the meantime, please go to iTunes or Spotify and give us a 5-star rating and review to help other people find the podcast. Also, if you want to keep up with us and see what we're doing, you can follow us on social media. Just follow the link in the show notes. There you'll find links to Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, Threads, and our merch shop. Or you can contact us directly at meeplesociety@mail.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the next one.